Okay, says that it is now streaming. Let me check. All right. Well, thank you for joining us today. We are here today with our third interview with our small business experts. This is a special week as it is the IEDC's Economic Development Week 2022. The Small Business Interviews is a short weekly discussion with the Economic Alliance. We'll be hosting different topics such as how to start a small business lending. We'll be speaking to an attorney who will talk about business formation, an accountant who will talk about preparing yourself and to do proper accounting for your business. We'll also be talking to somebody from public health who will be talking about cottage industries and preparing if you want to sell your products at farmers markets and those types of things. These sessions are going to be short 5 to 10 question interviews that we will hope answer some of your most important need to know questions. We will allow for time for questions at the end and encourage you to reach out to the Economic Alliance and or our industry experts to find out more about any topic that you are interested in learning more about. My name is Ronnie Holder-Diefenbach, and I always forget to introduce myself. I always assume that people know who I am, but I'm the Executive Director for the Economic Alliance. And today we will be learning more about the government contracting. And we are excited to have Aleesha Roedel, Government Contracting Assistant Specialist with PTech in Greater Spokane Incorporated, who will be sharing her wisdom and experience working with small businesses and helping them to prepare to work with the state and federal government. Welcome, Aleesha. Can you give us a little bit of information about your background, please?
Thank you, Ronnie. I'm excited to be here. So a little bit about my background is I've been working with Greater Spokane Incorporated for almost 6 years now. I started here as an intern right out of college and then was offered a position here in the business growth department. My predecessor offered me a like 10, 15-hour position in government contracting. He then left to become the executive director of American Red Cross. And so I kind of stumbled into it and realized how much I love doing this. And I've been doing it ever since. So I've been doing this for almost 4 years. I work a lot with fiber clients or in the Forest Service doing fire suppression. That's like my area of expertise. It was the first thing I learned and working through a lot of that right now. Wide area workflow, which is an invoicing platform for the military. I did work with people on that a lot. Certifications, especially hub zone certifications. I work with lots of clients doing that piece and jumping through all those hoops and just pretty much everything else, getting ready for government contracting all the way through the compliance piece. So it's navigating all of those things.
Thank you. And I am remiss that I did fail to mention that we have worked and have actually had Aleesha come up to Okanagan County here to offer some different classes over the years during her four years that she has been with PTech. And so she's helped quite a few of our local businesses within Okanagan County. So we're really excited to hear more. And since COVID, we've not been able to offer these classes. So it's important that we get this information out to our local businesses who might be interested in government contracting. And Aleesha, it sounds like you have the background and knowledge to help many of our local businesses who are looking at learning more about how to register their business, how to work with the government. So let's get started with the interview. Today, we're going to hear from some of the most common questions that she has heard in her role when working with small businesses. So now to our first question. Why would a business even want to become a government contractor?
So the government spends millions and billions of dollars every single year specifically on government contracting. And that even includes during the times of recession, depression, pandemics, things of that sort. Like right now, they don't stop spending money with small businesses. They continue to spend money, especially during those times, because it helps our economy thrive and survive those periods of terrible times. The government buys everything from bird watching to large construction projects. We actually had a bird watching contract come up from Boundary Dam. They were doing some work on the dam and they wanted to make sure the eagle's nest was not disturbed. So even stuff like that, the government spends money on. It's really incredible to see all of the opportunities there really are in the government space, especially for small businesses.
Great. Well, if a business is interested in starting to even look at government contracting, where would they go? And how can PTech help?
So I would say the first thing to do is reach out to your PTech counselor, or any small business advisor that you can find, because like Ronnie herself, she does a lot of with small businesses, and she'll know when to give you to PTech, because you kind of need to be, have to have your business license ready, have the basic business components prepared. Because if you come to me before then, I'll send you back to Ronnie or some of my other partners to get you ready. How PTech can help. So first, we do market research to make sure it's the right way for you to go, because I don't want you to waste your time on something that isn't going to be the right avenue for you. I myself do market research. I'll show you where to find the websites to do your own market research. Then we'll figure out who to target, which ways for you to go. So it's everything from square one to after you win an award and making sure you're compliant along the way. We help with all of those things.
And here's a follow-up question to that. And many of I always sit through your workshops and participated with your predecessor when they were here as well, and the workshops. And it amazes me because a lot of businesses don't realize that that they're eligible, like retail businesses or people who sell wholesale, from toilet paper all the way up to paper supplies and other things like that, that the government, you just think about something that the government purchases, you go to your local city, your local county, your local Forest Service complex, everything that they have within those offices, they have to buy. And so I think a lot of times businesses don't even think about those types of contracts that could potentially come up. Do those come up very often? And if a small business, for instance, a small retail business downtown that could potentially, might sell furniture or office supplies, how would they even know that those contracts are coming open?
So once again, that's a little bit of market research. So there's ways that you can do market research to learn more about things that are coming down the pipeline. There's also platforms you could be registered on, so different portals. So Spokane County uses the Small Works roster and MRSC rosters. The city of Spokane uses MRSC rosters as well. On the state side of things, it's the Washington Enterprise for Business Solutions. So you can register in all of these portals and learn more about different opportunities. Some large businesses also reach out to PTech specifically. So if they have specific needs they need filled, or subcontracting goals, or even agencies like Fairchild, for example, if they ever have something that they're not getting bids on, or they need help doing their portion of market research, because yes, the federal government's required to do that as well, then they'll reach out to PTech and be like, hey, I can't find somebody to do boiler maintenance. Can you help me? And so I will go through all of the people that I know that can do that and let them know. But there's lots of ways. We offer a bid match service as well. I'm not here to sell you anything, but it's free for the first 30 days. $165 per year in Washington. Every state's different. And that brings opportunities right to your inbox, depending on your NAICS codes and your description, to see those opportunities coming down the pipeline.
And again, another follow-up question to that, it's always good discussion, is a lot of times people automatically think that contracting is like construction, and it isn't. I mean, you've contacted me and said, Ronnie, this so-and-so entity needs an accountant, and they can't find an accountant. Yep. So it's not just specific to construction or purchasing products, but it's also services that could be obtained as well.
Yeah, there are a lot of different services. And I'm going to use Fairchild as an example again. Every couple of years, they re-solicit their ministries. So in their churches, they even solicit that for somebody to come in and do the hymns and the services on Sunday and stuff like that. There's another one that I work with a lot, park rangers. Not necessarily park rangers, the camp attendants. So if you go to like Albany Cove or any of those parks that are by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, they have park attendants come in, park their camper, clean the bathrooms, be there for help, camping, all those things. So it is products and services, and it's amazing the different varieties that you can find.
Great. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Why does a business have to register in SAM? And once they do so, what is next for them to do? And I guess I should say, what is SAM?
Yeah. So SAM is the System for Awards Management. It is the federal contracting procurement portal. You can do actually a lot more in SAM than what you used to be able to do. So it's one of the reasons why you have to register in SAM is because it helps the government determine whether or not you're able to do business with the government. So they've got to ask you questions about your taxes. They'll ask you questions about, if you've ever been debarred from working with the government, help determine your size standards as well, because the small business registers in SAM. SAM's not necessarily for large businesses. If you have certifications, you mark those boxes as well to help you with different set-asides. And it makes you more visible on the federal side of things because the federal government does their market research as well. And they want businesses that are already registered and vetted and ready to do business with the federal government. Now, SAM doesn't ever guarantee you a contract. It just makes it to where, yes, you're able to do business with the government. Yes, you're a legitimate company owner. And then they can see you there as well.
Okay, can you tell us another acronym above and beyond just SAM is NICS codes? And what is a NICS code and why is it important if you're thinking about going into government contracting to know what NICS codes are?
Okay, so NAICS codes are North American Industry Classification System codes. I know it's a mouthful, that's why we use acronyms. So what they do is they determine what industry your company is in, and they also determine your size standard. So the Small Business Administration determines your size standard from your NAICS code. Now, whether that be employee number or dollar amount, so annual receipts, really is dependent upon the NAICS code itself. And when you're going in for federal procurements, each solicitation will have a NAICS code attached to it, and you have to have that NAICS code in your SAM account in order to bid on that solicitation.
So where would I go if I don't know what NAICS code I'm involved in, or if I'm a small business and I'm just getting started and I know that I want to do government contracting? How would I know where to go and what to look for?
So once again, when in doubt, reach out. PTech or a lot of your economic developments or SBDCs, they can help you with that stuff too. I like to walk my clients through that step. So then it's easier for them to find their NAICS codes because there are some, like a reseller, for example, finding their NAICS codes is next to impossible. You go to the census.gov website and there's a spot where you can search for your NAICS codes, but you can search for them by keywords or the descriptors. With those industries, I like to walk through them with them together so then we can find a few that match them specifically. A NAICS code's never going to be exactly what your business does, but it will be a broad overview of what the company does. Another way to find your NAICS codes is, once again, when we walk through that market research piece, I like to use a website called usaspending.gov. And if you're searching through awards or opportunity, well, it will be awards. It's all, everything that's been awarded is on usaspending.gov. If you're searching by keywords through there, you can start a tally. And you'd be like, okay, I see this NAICS code on this one a lot. And I use the Forest Service description and, oh, I saw this one too. So then after we gather that list, we'll go back to the census.gov website and be like, okay, this does fit my business. I do need to put this one in my SAM account because these are the things I actually do.
Thank you. So how would a business know how to make contact with a government agency who might be interested in purchasing their products or service? I know a lot of our local city and county government will do posting in the classified sections about different things that they're looking for. But how would a small business who might have never done business with the government go about finding that information or making those contacts?
So finding the information can be tricky. That's another piece where market research comes in. And I know I sound like a broken record when I keep saying market research, but it is not only crucial when you start doing government contracting, but it'll be crucial for the entire lifespan that you do government contracting, because those contracting officers get rotated out a lot, especially if you're working like with an Air Force base. They're only there for a couple of years and then you got to have a whole new list of contacts. But there's a few different ways. So PTech can help. PTech hosts a lot of events. You host a lot of events. I like to do a lot of meet the buyers events. So I did one recently with the city of Spokane, the county, and a couple of other agencies. I'm more than happy to come over to do one over there as well. So we can get your city, your state, your local, whatever we need to do. So that's one of the really good ways, is to attend those and see what they have coming down the pipeline so that you can be like, okay, I need to do A, B, and C before I reach out. And most of the time, if you attend those events, their contact information will be posted everywhere throughout the entire event. I also host an annual event, which I get to do this year again, finally. COVID, we're not going to use that word this year, called Meet the Bigs. So I will have all of the government agencies sit in booths, and the small business have the advantage of walking around, meeting and greeting, targeting the specific ones that they would like to speak to. One other piece that's very crucial for a small business to have is something called a capability statement. So a capability statement is essentially your resume for your business. We do them front and back, no more than front and back. After that, you're pretty much going to lose an agency's interest. And it's going to talk about your core competencies, what makes you different, your differentiators. If you've never had a government contract, we'll put experience in there. So that'll be all encompassing for you. Like if it's for past businesses, we'll use that as well. If you've had past performance or government contracts, we'll include that. Federal ones, you'll have your NAICS codes, your UEI listed, which is a unique entity identifier for SAM. It used to be a DUNS number. We don't do DUNS anymore, thank goodness. But those are things like that. And then after you get your capability statement ready, you can, and we do the market research piece, they can call them or email them and be like, hey, this is who I am. This is what I do. I would like to do business with you. The key sentence in there is, I understand it's between acquisition periods, because if they think you're trying to get in on a contract that is closed, that you can't do, that it closes the conversation, because they're not allowed to have those conversations. But if you're telling them that it's between acquisition and you just want to know for future reference, that's a good way to get the door open and get the conversation started, because some of that is relationship building.
Well, and I think some of them, especially out here in our area where we deal with wildfires a lot, where the DNR and Forest Service, they have their own, like the Viper list, that you have to get on. And they really have very specific timelines that they open up for water tenders, or they open up for, the different equipment that is, and it's not an annual basis. And so you have to be up and knowledgeable about when those are available, so that you can get your capability statement in and get your applications in to bid on those different contracts. I've run into many businesses who've been like, well, we want to get our stuff out there, and it's just like, it's closed and it's not going to open back up for 2 more years. And it's a very frustrating process. But another question that I think we get, and there's a lot of people who stop and they don't even start going through the process because of the fear of, what is the expectations once you get that government contract, the certified payroll and some of the other additional things. So, once businesses get to that point, what is it that, how do you help them at PTech prepare to be successful as they move into government contracting?
Yeah. Well, each agency runs a little bit different. So there really isn't one answer for everything. Cities, states, counties, federal, they all have a little bit different requirements. So we'll navigate those as they come. Since you did mention the Forest Service, they do things every 3 years, and it's always on a rotating basis. And so those pieces, to prep them for it, it's okay, we know this is going to come out in February. So in November, before that all starts, okay, are you registered in SAM? No, let's get it done. Do you have the correct NAICS code? Okay, well, let's make sure that's in your SAM account. Do you have a Viper account? No. Okay, let's go make sure you have a Viper account. And let's make sure these two systems are talking to each other, because of the changes that have been recently made. That's caused a lot of issues. And then it's reading through the terms and conditions and understanding the requirements once you are awarded. Those are really important pieces. So as we go through this solicitation, I will have them read it. I will read it. We will go through it together. Have them write their list of questions for me. I'll write my list of questions for them. And then we read through the entire, well, depending on circumstances, we'll go through the important high level pieces together. The evaluation criteria is always going to be crucial to understand what they're going to need to do afterwards. With the Forest Service, there's always additional training, like an RT 130 training. And then they have to have their fire shelter training. So there's those additional components to it as well. You could have your equipment inspected if you end up being pulled for a random inspection. So those are all things that are really important to be prepared for. The most essential piece for success is going to be read, and reread that solicitation and be fully transparent with your contracting officer. The more you communicate, the better off it's going to be.
Thank you. So many of our local businesses here within Okanagan County could be eligible to become certified, as I can't talk right now, could be eligible to become certified as a hub zone certified business, or potentially minority, women owned, and other SBA certified businesses. How would a business know if they're eligible for one of these, and what are the benefits of going through that process?
So determining the benefits of going through that process is going to be one-on-one with each company, because I'm never going to have you go be certified just because you're a woman-owned business. It actually has to provide a benefit at the end of the day, because it is work to go through the certification process. And I don't want you to go through that process if it's not going to be beneficial for you. Hub zone certification is a little bit differently structured because it is based on your principal office location. So if you live on the wrong side of the street or the right side of the street, depending on how you look at it, you can or can't be hub zone certified. There are lots of benefits to being hub zone certified. That is the only certification that has a price preference attached to it, because the federal government never ever meets it. So that's one of the benefits of that certification. But if you wanted to utilize like a woman-owned business certification status, we would make sure that it's going to benefit you at the end of the day first. So that's okay. How many contracts were awarded for women-owned small businesses under this NAICS code? Or on the state side, because state certifications and federal certifications don't cross over, they're different. So if you want to work more along the lines with your cities and your counties, you want to pursue those state certifications. If you want to do federal work, we do federal work. So there's lots of benefits. There's a lot of work involved in any one of them. So if you guys are looking for certifications, please get your operating agreement done today, because that's the one hiccup that I run into with most companies is they got everything else ready to go. And then I said, do you have an operating agreement? And they're like, okay, we got to take 5 steps back. We got to go get that, because it just proves who can do day-to-day decision-making and long-term decision-making in the business.
And I'd just like to mention that the Economic Alliance does have a small business development, a small business advisor. We are the SBDC for Okanagan County, and we have somebody who can help you go through that process. So feel free to reach out to us. That is a service that we do offer, and we do work with Aleesha. So if there's specific things that she tells us that need to be in there, then we can definitely work together to make that happen. I think it's the partnership between PTech and with the SBDC and the Economic Alliance that can help streamline that process to help people go through the process a lot better and easier, and not run into, get kicked back to do more, do things over again. Mm-hmm. So if I was a business and had my business license, have all my ducks in a row, and I'm just ready to go to the next step in, reaching out and contracting with the government, and, how would I go about getting a hold of you to make that connection happen?
So you could go, for me personally, you could go to my Greater Spokane website, because that's where I am listed on there as well. All of our state procurement officers or procurement counselors, however you want to refer to us by, we are all on WashingtonPTech.org. There's also a federal or a national website as well. So that's ABTAC. And if you're not located in Washington or in my area, that can help you find your specific counselor as well. But those are really the best ways to get a hold of us. You could use ABTAC, go to WashingtonPTech.org to find yours specifically. I cover 11 counties, which Okanagan County is one of them.
So you are our contact.
I am your contact.
If anybody in Okanagan County wanted to, it would be contact Aleesha.
Yep.
Okay. All right. And to our final question, can you share with us what are some of the strategies that small businesses should use to ensure that they develop long-lasting relationships with the state and federal government and local government as they move forward in government contracting?
So long-lasting relationships, once communication will always be key, no matter which state, local, or federal government agency you want to do business with. Because when there's transparency and conversation going back and forth, it's easier to navigate those waters. For like the city governments and local governments, some of their requirements aren't just strenuous as long as you're complying through their pieces. If anything goes wrong, it's always good to be like, hey, this is what's coming down my pipeline. These are the hurdles I need to cross. Like, how can we go around this? So I'd really say that communication is key and transparency is very important through all of it.
Well, thank you. And thank you so much for taking the time to be a part of our Business 101 interview with the expert to share this very important information to our local businesses. Is there anything else that you can think of that we didn't touch on already that you would like to share with our audience?
Well, for PTech specifically, I did not mention that we will have to have you register for services. So because part of our funding comes from the Department of Defense, we do have to have permission to work with you guys. We do have to track our counseling hours, and that's how we maintain our funding. I guess one big piece is when in doubt, please reach out. It doesn't matter if it's something I know, I don't know, that's in my wheelhouse or not in my wheelhouse. I will try to find you the answer or connect you with the right person who has the answer or the resources for you.
Well, and I want to thank you. Aleesha mentioned earlier that there's been a change in the way that people register through the SAMS process. And I think, within the last 6 months, there's been quite a few small businesses within our region who have banging their head up against the wall, like, why is this not working? And what is the problem? And she has been very patient and has worked with several of our businesses, including the Economic Alliance, because we had our challenges as well. So, the services that PTech offers and that Greater Spokane Incorporated offers that serves Okanagan County in regards to government contracting is really important. And I'm excited about the fact that we can now do in-person events and that we can actually host some different trainings and partner together to help get the word out about government contracting. Because again, it is, especially in Okanagan County, where we have a huge amount of government entities that operate here, our small businesses should be able to benefit and understand, if they understand how they can access and be able to understand how to sell their services or products to the government. So this is super important. I'd like to thank everyone. I'm looking on, I don't see any questions at this time, but I just want to let everybody know that this will be available on Facebook. We'll also be uploading it to YouTube and posting on our Economic Alliance website. And we'll also be converting and hopefully having a future discussion with PTech again in Spanish so that we can offer it in Spanish to our Spanish speaking businesses. And we will be meeting again in a couple of weeks to talk to another small business expert. So I hope to see everybody at that time, and we'll be getting the word out about what that will be on. I also just wanted to briefly share some of the services that we offer at the Economic Alliance, and that is we offer free confidential small business advising through the SBDC, which is the Small Business Development Center. We also have our Small Business Resource and Technology Center, where we're offering weekly workshops, and we offer equipment like we have a drone, we have computers, we have copy machines, photography equipment that can help small business develop an online presence. So please reach out to the Economic Alliance at 826-5107 to find out more information or to schedule a time to meet with our advisor or with our economic development specialist who is offering those small business workshops like Facebook 101, branding your business. We're doing introduction to Etsy and Shopify. And we also do customized trainings that we can offer actually in your business, because we also understand that small businesses can't take the time away at times to go out and actually attend a workshop for a half a day or a full day seminar. So, if we can come in and meet with you one-on-one, then that's something that we can definitely do in English and in Spanish. So again, reach out, Economic Alliance, 509-826-5107, and all of our services are free and confidential. So we hope to work with you in the future, and tune in a couple of weeks for our next business expert interview. Thank you so much.